years. And then I was in magnet programs.
You didn't report to your mom.
No. She was, no.
Mom and your boss.
That's right. There was a time where I never brought up that she was my mom, early in my career. And then later, when you get older and more mature, I was glad,
Want to strike out on your own first?
Exactly. Well, that was the other thing, the pride.
Yep.
You're kind of like, no.
Okay. Well, you're just going to look at me, not
Okay.
at him, and
All right.
we're just going to talk, and then we'll
Okay.
just suss out some things. As we were just saying, you were obviously here to talk about your mom, but you also worked for the school system. So tell me about your mom, the educator.
Well, I really cannot think of a time in my life, her life, when she was not an educator. Literally until the day she died, she was still indirectly affiliated with public education, with some of the foundations that she was on. But she was the hardest worker. I never have witnessed a worker harder than my mother, because she believed in what she was doing. I finally figured that out. That's what it was. She just had such passion for it. And anything she had passion for, she gave her all. And I think anyone who knew her would say that about her. But yeah, I remember her as a teacher. I remember going to her classroom when I was in the first grade, because we got out at 2:15, and the sixth graders didn't get out till 3, I think. And watching her up in her dress, her pleated skirt, teaching sixth grade and loving it, laughing with her students, and all the way to when she was assistant superintendent. I remember when she was the magnet director a lot, because that was a significant time in her life, and actually in Wake County Public School System.
Right. Her leadership and development on the magnet program. You were in the school system at that point, no?
Right.
Talk about a little bit how significant magnets became, really, for Wake,
right.
And nationally it became a.
Yeah. Actually, I think I was a first-year teacher, and then all of a sudden I kept hearing that something was going to happen. We had a new superintendent, Walter Marks at the time, and Mom, along with, I think there were 9 others, she was serving as a principal, as I said, was a first-year teacher, and there were 10 of them selected to go to different magnet schools, and she was assigned to Underwood. And it was a big deal. And it basically happened overnight, it seemed like, but there was a lot of work behind it.
The mic, and I don't know why. The batteries are full, so stand by.
Magnet. So but I had another, when you talked about first grade, I had another thought in mind. So I'm going to try this out on you. Like my daughter, when she was growing up, she loved to play and pretend to be a teacher, play school. I don't know, having a mom as a teacher, was that something that you still did? Did you think about and want to play teacher like Mom?
I did, and when I wasn't trying to play like I was a movie star. But yes, I was. She had all the equipment. She had all the supplies, so it was fun to play school. I had the chalk, and I had the books and the rulers and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I did. I did play school.
Sweet. Obviously, you went into education, so the impact of your mother being an educator. But to talk to me about her influence at home and within the family as being an educator. Like, how was it? What emphasis? How was it? How did she play it? I guess is.
Well, and really, I think the education at home was, and people say this, but this was the truth. It was completely by example. We watched how she conducted herself. And big themes for us were, if you're going to do something, you do it right. That is her mantra, and it was for her whole life. 2, you accept all people. that was huge. There, she was a big believer that different kinds of people together was more fulfilling and exciting, and she lived her life that way. And we kind of did too. So I'd say hard work, just by watching her, acceptance of others, definitely we all thought we were funny in my family, and we laughed all the time. So sense of humor was big. And probably, even though that there was that whole hard work thing, also you never take yourself too seriously. I mean, I can remember worrying about things and her saying, "You just need to lighten up. Just be yourself. Lighten up. Don't worry."
Where did the equity focus, acceptance come from inside with her? Like, where did it come from? Was it faith? Was it her family?
I have thought a lot about that because she was raised in a tiny town in eastern North Carolina, Dunn, North Carolina. I remember her parents, my grandparents being very accepting people. We didn't talk a lot about race or anything like that much, but I think it had to do with the fact that she did have a strong faith, and she believed all people count, just bottom line. And we believed it.
And I assume that that's something that you and I guess and grandchildren were very sort of proud of, looking from her
yes.
from her generation.
Absolutely.
She,
I can remember her speaking up. Now, that's another thing. Anybody who talks about my mother will tell you, you did not speak with my mother for more than 5 minutes without knowing where she stood on particular issues. And, although she believed in acceptance of all people, she did not believe that you sit back and quietly accept intolerance. So I watched her stand up sometimes for underdogs or people who had no voices. And that made me really proud. And I remember being really proud, even in elementary school, when I could tell at this meeting, and I can't remember what the topic was, but she took me there at night. It was all these women and girls, and I can't remember what the topic was, but she stood up and she was speaking for the people whose voices were not in the room. And it made me proud as a child. And she continued doing that for the rest of her life.
If you had to pick one word that's a lot. This is your mother, who you obviously love and miss, but is there one word that comes to mind immediately?
Just compassion. Yeah. That, I guess there are a lot. Dedication. She loved to have fun. She was a package.
And missed.
Yes, very much so.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think about, before talking with you, I was trying to think of what made her a good match for a public education career. And I think there were probably 4 things. And they were just her makeup. This is all beyond any kind of qualifications that you would have coming to a job. But I would think, I already said that she loved people. She liked people. She liked all kinds of people. B, she was extremely organized. And as a former educator, that I needed to work on that, and it made my life easier. So she was extremely organized. The third thing is that she had a sense of humor. And, I can't remember my fourth. And the other one is she was the hardest worker you're going to find. And she worked with passion and compassion. And as a leader, she expected others to do the same because she believed in what she was doing. So.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's it. That was wonderful.
Oh, really? That was enough?
That was enough.